In 1984, I became a subcontractor for Walk Through the Bible, teaching their Old Testament seminar. It was a great day in my life when I saw the chronology of the Bible, how the stories fit together and where each person, place, and event belongs. I plan on posting the timeline on Mondays with much more detail. God exists outside of time and all other dimensions. Once upon eternity, God, who is love, 1 John 4:8, determined to create some beings to pour out his love upon. Knowing that he must set a standard to live with him for eternity, he limited it to faith, Hebrews 11:6. Because he desired a personal relationship based on obedience, he rejected all religion, Galatians 3:26. Learning to love God through all of life's circumstances will conform the believer to the character of Christ. He did not want puppets, so he gave man a free will to make his own decision. Now here comes the hard part for us to understand. He knows the end of the story, but allowed each to make his own choice. In Revelation 22, which is the last chapter of the Bible, in verse 13 we read, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. This is a miniature Greek lesson. Jesus started it and he will end it, and we read in John 5:39 that the whole book is all about Jesus. So now you know why I named the blog Jesus Book. Now let's get creative and do the same with the Hebrew language of the Old Testament. Not long after the Lord leaves the newlyweds in the garden, he goes back for a blood sacrifice. I believe that he killed a bullock and 2 rams, just like the high priest did once a year. Then he ripped their skins off to make coats to cover them. This is what the first letter of the ancient Hebrew called Aleph looks like. 4,000 years later, Jesus takes on human flesh, being born to a virgin girl. Then, 33 years later, all of mankind, represented by a few, tear his flesh off with a whip and nail him to a cross. 3 days later, he rises from the dead to prove he is God. This is what the last letter of the ancient Hebrew called Tau looks like. Many focus on the cruel mocking, beating, and the physical suffering he endured from mankind. But that's nothing compared to what God the Father did to him. You see, in eternity past, they had perfect fellowship. Psalm 139, verse 8, the Bible says, If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. God the Father had a pearl of great price. He gave it to the world. So God not only wounded the fabric of eternity, but changed the relationship between the Father and the Son forever. Jesus paid the price and is seated at the right hand of the Father, but he is also in hell, paying an eternal debt. He left the splendor of heaven, knowing his destiny was the lonely hill of Golgotha. There he lay down his life for me. If that isn't love, the ocean is dry. There are no stars in the sky, and the sparrow can't fly. If that isn't love, then heaven is a myth. There's no feeling like this. If that isn't love. Song.